lot of people are questioning exactly how they should be looking at this market. And I'm going to continue to put it like this the best I can. When you're in an environment where you cannot control geopolitical tensions, where you cannot control the warfare that's coming, and you can't control, let's just say in the fashion of, we know that the dollar is being attacked, we know we're being de-dollarized here in the USA, but also when you go globally, because it's not just a USA issue with cryptocurrency, but it does lead the way in a lot of senses. The best I can tell you right now is I would go from the fundamental approach. Force it to force you to want it at this point. Force it to want you to make a purchase. I have $41,000 liquid right now. That was in crypto. That's sitting liquid on BITUNIX right now. Because if the market's going to keep doing this, and you can take a chance, you can do a swing, you can do whatever you want, even if it makes you pennies on the dollar, whatever. What I'm trying to say is, in this kind of an environment, we've got three things working against us. One, the geopolitical tensions right now when it comes to the escalating wars. And we know, we can see it firsthand, it's happening. It's going to get worse. And before we know it, it's probably going to lead us to not being able to leave our house eventually. But that's neither here nor there. The second reason would be, in an environment like this, risk off is technically the better place to be, but more appropriately, risk on and risk off assets that can do both, and both kind of environments are just stellar right now, which is gold, silver. Pay attention too, because it's going unnoticed, but I've talked about Murphy's for how long now? It was all the way down to $20. I had purchased some in the not so distant past. I purchased 2,000, I want to say 2,000, it was just over 2,000 shares. But I think with the rise in crude oil, it's very important. So I knocked something off my list to put that on here. Initially, I didn't want to do this, but I took IOTA and I'm going to start an IoT section here, and I'm going to delete some of these off of here, but it's going to be IoT and then others. So, but the best I can tell you is, and the third reason is, we've got not just the fair value gap on XRP at $1.50, but we've also got the Bitcoin CME gap from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange that sits down there at 91,800 and some change, up to 92,000 and some change. I like the lower end. I don't care about the top end of the FVG. I want the bottom. I want to hit it where I want to hit it. Or with the CME, I want to hit it where I want to hit it. So I want Bitcoin to hit 91,800 and some change. Otherwise, it's not enough. And I know eventually XRP, even if we were to take the up route, and I think this would be the worst case scenario, we take the up route, we eventually get up to 124K for Bitcoin, then the floor drops out because we've got to do some filling in. I'd rather us fill in the missing pieces right now. I understand, Nick, why you would be, I seen your comment on here. I understand why you'd be like cut in the middle, because technically we haven't given it back. But if you're looking at this, if you're asking me, I feel like it formed, I understand there's that descending consolidation, but I think when it did this motion, it actually formed a rising wedge. I think we could argue that there's a rising wedge that formed here. And if that's the case, that'll artificially knock us back down to 99. And then once that's lost, that should bring us back down to that inverse right arm. Like, I can't get rid of that thought process. So as much as I've been swinging in this a little bit, probably not anymore, until it makes this ultimate move, because I think the most value is going to be to miss out on these minor movements and just wait for the bottom to fall out. Or if you're a short trader and you understand the level to buy it at, and you understand risk tolerance, but it's certainly not trending in the right direction. And that volume, like I've been saying, day after 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 day, some don't feel right. There's no volume. So no matter how high this tries to reach, there's no volume. And with no volume, it always ends the same way. It always ends the same way. Eventually, all ends meet. They turn the selling pressure back on, and there's just not enough buyers to advance the price. And with all these gaps, I don't think we're supposed to advance the price right now. So I'm looking at this in a very narrow-minded way right now. We have to go to risk off and see what's going on with the geopolitical tensions. Oh, wait a minute. We already do that with precious metals having gold and silver. We already do that with mining stocks. You can already do that with emerging markets, and you can hammer it with some oil as well. We've got every faction outside of crypto covered for risk off. Did I mention those same facilities and those same assets and those same categories are also good in risk on? So you've now found something good in risk on and off. Bitcoin, crypto is only risk on. When we're risk off, people run for the hills. That's why you get 75% crashes in a couple days. Is that going to happen here? Well, we're certainly teetering on a oh shit moment here. Because in the 4-hour time frame, we're still below the 200-day. It's almost like it's coming up for rejection right now at 104,750. 2-hourly, completely busted down. Of course, you can get a rejection around 106. Then everybody's going to jump for joy saying, oh my God, we're pumping. When really, what do you guys see here? When I speak of it, what do you see in the volume? What's rising? Is the green volume rising in the 2-hourly, or is the sell pressure? It's a good indicator in the short term of what's actually happening here. You're definitely getting more sell pressure than buy pressure. And it's not a lot of buy pressure when it comes in. It might as well be nothing. We might as well have no volume at all. It's almost an insult, the volume we have coming in right now. It's almost like they're trying to trap us right before this big escalation starts so that the top-heavy investors can get out at a real nice gain. Now, this isn't going to be tolerable for some of you. You know, a lot of people are going to leave in the beginning of this because they're going to say, oh, I don't want to see it bearish. And my title says it all. XRP, the lack of volume, eventually crashes price down to $1.50 or worse for XRP. That's the truth. Without volume, that's what's going to happen. If we can somehow sneak some volume in here, but because of that lack of sustainability here, you see what's happening. We've slipped now, and that daily is a daily reversal. You don't need to know anything. I'm here. You're watching me right now. That's a long leg doji. That's a bearish doji reversal at the highest order right now. That's about as perfect, and Nick, you know as well as I do, that's about as perfect of a long leg doji reversal as you could possibly get where it's at right now. Not only is it perfectly centered, it also made a new low while coming nowhere near making a new high and having no kind of rebound on the daily low. We're just kind of sitting there and we're floundering. Man, seeing 25 people leave, speaking facts, I mean, that really says it all. If I go into the charts and I say, oh, XRP is going to go up 75%, we're going to have 800 people in here. The moment you try to say the truth, 75% of the people are like, the hell with this guy. This guy's a piece of shit. He only talks about it going down. What's he got to gain? What do I have to gain? I have a lot to gain, actually. We all have a lot to gain. It's become a tedious process when the market's red and the opportunity to be able to make a real educated decision is here in front of us. 95% of people are like, nope, miss me. The market starts pumping. Everybody says, oh my God, why didn't somebody tell me to buy it before? Or why didn't somebody tell me to pay attention? I think we've already answered that question. Crypto Plumber 589, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. I greatly appreciate that, my friend. And that is my face superimposed on there. It says, hey, first like, first comment, let's go, Tom. Appreciate that, friend. Mark Caston, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. McMichael, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Senate passed the Genius Act. Not a bunch of geniuses passing that act, however. John Bugathorpe, hey Tom, checking in from France now, coming back to the States. So I've had an advantage over here at 6 hours ahead because I can see the moves around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 3 a.m. Eastern Standard. Oh, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool, John. So you're starting to see the way it sets up in the market and how they kind of set. So you can actually see from an eagle's eye view now, or a bird's eye view, of how they set up retail in the USA at about 3, 4 a.m. just to drop it back down at 8, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you've seen it firsthand. You've definitely seen it firsthand. Let's see. T. Perella, welcome in, Tommy. Good to see you, my friend. A fellow Tommy. Nick Morales, so glad Tom's doing a live. I've literally so split on what's happening. And worst part is I know charts predict news. I know. That's the problem. It's like we talked a couple days ago. It's almost like they set up that inverse head and shoulders across the market just so we would think that we had an inevitable move up, even though everything still speaks to the fact that we're having an artificial breakout. You know why I say that? What predicts price movement? What predicts an upward move and an actual breakout? What would need to accompany the breakout of these patterns and on the back test of most? What should be accompanying this? You and I both know, Nick, volume should be accompanying these moves on these breakouts. It's actually receded in volume, which is, it's almost the telltale of it all. Follow the volume and you shall find the proper pricing. Follow the volume and you will foresee where the prices actually end up. To not follow the volume is to let your portfolio go poof. You know, done. Nick Morales, thank you so much for the $1.99 donation as well. It always tickles me in the best possible way when I see all of you who do decide to donate or join Tom's army, spending your hard-earned money. There's no greater gift that you could give me besides being here. UK Phil, thank you so much for being in Tom's army for over 1 year with the I told you so badge. Greatly appreciate you being in here, my friend. I can't wait to get back online with you. Even if the game's not as good right now, still be nice to play a game. Trading with J-Ride, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. End of June, beginning of July, altcoin season. If we follow the protocol I've laid out, we're not going to have a problem. If Bitcoin follows my protocol where it fills that gap, it technically unleashes a higher target. Instead of Bitcoin going to 124, I believe if you create that inverse head and shoulders, you have no choice but to at least get up to 148, possibly 154. That increases the potential by 24 to 30,000 on Bitcoin. It's a pretty big push. That's a pretty big push. But we need to fill this out. We can all see it. We had a breakout of a cup and handle, which gave us the first target of about 123, 124, 121, whatever, 122, you know what I mean, in that area. Now on the breakout of the cup and handle, we're forming what looks like an inverse head and shoulders, but we're missing the inverse right shoulder. Like we're getting ahead of ourselves. I could almost argue that this is building a rising... Oh boy, I didn't even notice that. I've been so fucking focused on this stupid pattern. Is that pot? Oh boy. Is that really what... I'm not going to say anymore. I don't want to irritate anybody. Ooh. See, this is what scares me. What if it did come down here? What if it did? And I'll show you something else that's compelling. I mean, what if it comes down there and it just fills in the rising wedge and then it breaks down and then we end up at 61,000 because we never back tested the cup and handle breakout? That's my biggest fear right now. My fear has been unlocked here with no volume. I'm being honest. I haven't shown this particular setup in a while. This is what I think could be happening. Does anybody see that? If that's really a rising wedge like that, oh dear Lord. Lord, have mercy on our souls if you're not paying attention to this and you are all in right now. Lord, have a consolidated, constructive mercy. Because I'm not telling you this, but that, I mean, look at how oh my God. If that falls out by Monday, July 7th, look at it where it drops us down. My dear Lord, does that not go right to the back test? Oh God. I have a feeling we're in... I hope we don't have this kind of pain. But that's my biggest fear unlocked right there. And then it could be a topping reversal. Then you have the fear that this could be over. What if we actually are over? What if they used all this top-end distraction? But I don't know. This is just speculation when you start to run these kind of numbers. But this is what I've been looking at for a long time. That's why I say I'm petrified to go to 91,950 area or 800 and fill that gap. Because if we don't hold that gap being filled in that inverted right shoulder, we're going to find ourselves all the way down possibly at 61,000. And I don't think that's a stretch. I think when you start paying attention to the rising wedge, It almost makes sense because Bitcoin's rising wedge meets Ethereum's rising wedge. And if Bitcoin goes to 61K, you better fucking believe that Ethereum could go all the way down to that 496 gap. I am just telling you straight up. And like, I feel like we've evolved here in the last couple of weeks because I don't care how upset it makes you guys anymore. I'm going to tell you even deeper and paint a story of how bad it could get when it's going to get bad, if it could get bad. Now, there's also ways to avoid it, as we've talked about, but right now it's not looking that way, folks. It is not looking that way. In fact, it looks like they're trying to snap our neck slowly but surely. Let me continue on here. Let's see. Jorge, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor and being a very trusted mod. Says, hello, people. Hello, Tom. Everyone hit that like button to show your support for Tom and his channel and for the best TA on YouTube. Really appreciate those kind words, Jorge. Nick Morales says, that's like me. I have like $600 on BITUNIX waiting. And isn't it funny knowing the charts how... See... And I do like to short from time to time, but like for me, one of the biggest ways that I've made money outside of being able to short is understanding when to pull profits and when to pull positions and just let it sit there and then let it go down and fill what I'm seeing on the charts. Even if it takes time, sometimes you get volatility up. And then when you make that new buy-in, you might have saved yourself or made yourself 5, 10, 15 grand on the drops. And then when it comes back up with the rally, you might be up 50, 60, 70,000, you know, on something that might have been down 50%, but because you sold out, rebought, and then you got to ride it the whole... That's where I see a lot of money being made for myself. The other thing I would instruct you, and I don't care how many times somebody shows you in the Telegram, I don't give a rat's ass how many times you see somebody on YouTube, or even if I showed you a short or a long futures trade working out properly, that same person isn't showing you 7 out of 10 of them that's not working out. I 100% guarantee it because I've been in this game long enough to know that 95% of people who share their futures trades never show the losses. Whether it's in the Telegram or not, never show the losses. So don't get caught up in the mindfuck game of, oh, this guy can't miss, this is a can't miss, this is a 100% philosophy. It's all bullshit. Everybody's losing, everybody's winning if they're futures trading. There's no exception to the rule. The rule cannot have an exception in this case. So if you're living in fairy tale land, close the book. Otherwise, you're going to lose your portfolio. And that's just me being straight fucking up with you right now. That's why I don't show a lot of futures trading. I'm just saying, you know, in a market like this, and if you're going to take the chance and you're going to be one of those 35, 50, I'm a high leverage guy at 75. Come on, man. If you're going to show me a 200% gain, you're going to have to show me the 7 other ones that got stopped out right before that. At least be honest with the community, or at least be honest with who you're trying to teach, you know, and that's nobody in this community in particular. I'm just saying that happens when I'm scrolling through YouTube all the time or social media. They show you the big gains, but never, ever, 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 ever in infinity do they ever show you a single stop loss, any kind of negative positioning. So just be very careful and don't ever in these environments go above 3x. If I see a smart man in here say he does 3x or less, then I know he's probably succeeding in leverage. Because if he understands the chart, he gives himself a 30 to 35% window. Probably does cross margin because that's what I would suggest if you actually know what you're doing. If you don't, you just stay in isolated. But when you're in isolated, you can't move the positioning. If you're in cross, you can keep yourself from being liquidated by adding more to the position. Dirty little secret nobody wants to talk about. Wales, Josie Wales, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Trading with J-Rod, thank you so much for that $10 donation along with being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. What a beautiful community. Keith Morgan, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Beautiful, friend. Hello, my good man. Mike says, hello, Thomas here. I sit once again all hot and bothered in the sauna, no towel, watching your show once again. As weakness and sweat runs down my hairy back and crack, and I watch your TA feeling spicy today. Oh, and there's no exception to the rule. We have to read it all. Even if I get Mike hot and bothered, at least he's in the sauna. At least he's in the sauna. I'd say he's cooling off, but maybe he's getting even more, you know. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it nonetheless. Mike, I'm glad you're having a good day. And I'm glad you bring that sense of humor or that sense of honesty with you. Dennis Smith, good evening. Good to see you in here. Kyle Kupiak, welcome in. Cape Cod Kyle from Massachusetts. Also in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. Love it. I know it doesn't say it today, but it usually does. Man, I feel you so much, Tom. I'm worried we could dump like you're saying, and then August is our... I know. That's the problem. And it's not even that. Don't think it's just me saying it's going to dump. I'm just reading off where the technicals are telling me to read off. And I'm also trying to show what could happen if somehow we could find volume. That it could somehow. But then eventually we're probably going to lead down to the same ends anyhow. So, like, I'd rather just get over with the runs now. Just give us the runs now. Run down and then let's pick it back up. Arichi and Crypto Cooter, thank you both for reading Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Let's see. McMichael, welcome in. Thanks for reading Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Kryptonian, welcome in, and thanks for reading Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. Was waiting for someone to bring up silver, and Kryptonian's just the guy because he loves it as I. Silver was up and closed for the first time, and I'll have to go back in my history book. This is the first time silver closed a daily candle above $37 an ounce since... Oh, it's a long time, guys. Since the week of March 5th. Okay, so we haven't closed above in a daily candle since 2012. Did you hear me? We have not closed a daily candle above $37 in 13 years. Better than 13 years. You know what else? It took 13 years plus to build that handle. The actual handle started right about here, but you could say this is where it actually went from like the handle to the cup of the handle. You know like when you're holding a tea. Ooh, I'm holding a cup, or I'm pouring some tea, or I'm flowering my flowers. That's the handle right there. The fact that this is breaking out in real time, and we've been part of this since 16, 15 in the community, since 1600 on gold. These miners, since wherever you decided to buy it while you were watching, we've made extraordinary gains. Pan America's now at a 52-week high. It's so awesome to see. So many of these. But yeah, silver. And again, the moment I talk about silver and the easy money that's there, 15 people leave because I speak silver. And I love it. I like being able to see it in real time because then I can really see, like, it's the stay broke mindset. It can only be crypto. I only want risk on. I only want this. Even though we're literally being punched in the face with a can't miss opportunity for months and months. And for that matter, years with gold and silver now. Where it's a can't miss opportunity. Another can't miss opportunity is that freaking oil. Will you guys please pay attention to Murphy's now? It was down to 19. I said it before when it was at 21. Said it before when it was at 23. Hell, and then it went to 19. Maybe not got to 17 where I wanted it. But with the geopolitical tensions, Murphy's pays better than 5 in it. It's a 5.05% dividend. And that chart is screaming. Like, we've been going on the downward spiral since, guys, 2008. We've been in this pattern since 2008. This has been 17 years in the making. See this big W? See this big inverse head and shoulders here? I'll map it out for you if you don't see it real quick. And before I do, good evening. 6:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So we have a left shoulder, a beautiful declined head with a W Gartley reversal. Right shoulder seems to have formed right in front of our very eyes, which leads to an inverse head and shoulders. 17-year pattern, about 70% of the move. I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd say don't miss this. If it comes down, it comes down, but that's the beauty of a dividend-paying stock. You know, it ain't coming down here. That's negative, folks. So if you want to see this in reality, we did this before. You want to see the reality of this pattern, it's probably something more like that. Nope. More like this. That's the reality of this pattern. You're probably more like that. So you're basically at the bottom. And if you break out of this, oh my goodness. I told you, this has been on this consolidation since 2008. Like, it's just waiting. And eventually it's going to break out and end up at 90 bucks. I'm just telling you. It's been up at 86. It's going to go back up there. I can feel it. And with this political tension, or this geopolitical tension, oil was up 5.5% today. Murphy's only 1.25%. I think it's getting ready for that oh boy move. But hey, that's just kind of a hedge your bet. You know, I've got emerging markets too that are in my retirement that I started last year in the IRA. $7,000 a year. Did $7,000 on Vanguard last year, $7,000 on Fidelity this year. It's up about $970 in total. But this year they're starting to kick up a notch. So I'm very excited about the emerging markets. But it's kind of like we're just trying to make this a little easier process. You know, I can only say it so many times that I feel like sometimes I talk and it's like I wish everybody could experience this level of freedom. But it's not for everybody. Shane, welcome in. Love seeing you in here. I'm glad you got out of XCN as well. I seen it on the Telegram. I was like, yes, thank you. Because I didn't want you to ride that all the way down. ICP I was looking at for you as well. I think I have it charted out as a matter of fact because I wanted to get it ready for you for the live if you were in here. And I wanted to show you something very, very interesting. The way it's setting up is we do have this uptrend underneath, Shane. So forget what you know, the under $5. You have to wait until it comes down here to approximately 470. See if it holds. And I don't even know if I like that because I could argue that it could be more like, yeah, we might as well just do that. Give it the lowest possibility. We're going to have to see if it holds this. 438 probably. Now, I do understand there's one way, Shane, to where that $5 level could become a little more enticing. It's if this holds. It's if that were to hold something like that. So you have to see if 493. So I can understand from your philosophy with that little uptrend too. I was trying to see what you were seeing. And then once I put that uptrend in there in the micro, I'm like, you know what? I could see that. If it holds that, maybe taking a shot. But I still could see, and I know it's not what you want to hear. I think it could be coming all the way back down to like $1.68. Like if we're really going into these catastrophic drops in the market where Bitcoin can go to 63, look at that long pattern. It's kind of filling out here. And I just wanted you to be aware of this because this is very early on in this consolidation. Like it would be early and it could come to $1.80. Then you got to watch this area because if that uptrend's debilitated, we just get rid of that. And then up here, I mean, you're talking about the rebound is up at 15. So guys, now's the time to be fucking patient. I'm telling you right now. I've been saying it. Unless you're swing trading, sit down, back up, and close your eyes. Because this is going to get a little ugly. And if you're afraid of the horror movie, it's very bloody. If you're squeamish, look away. Quant coming back down and about to break below 100 again. It's such a big teller. Look at that. That weekly looks horrendously bad. That's horrible. Now, unfortunately, it's only midweek, so it's got a lot of time. But that's falling out, and that is a rising wedge, I believe. We talked about this before. So, you know, it's one of those things. We're starting to play out in these wedges. And if these wedges play out, oh, buddy. And I'm trying to get you guys out of the way or actually looking in the right positioning. Back in January, late December, sold 75% of my crypto to focus on gold and silver, particularly the mining stocks, because I already had my gold and silver bullion. So, like, it's transition. Right now, you should be focusing on oil and oil companies as well. U.S. oil company, if you're looking for the price in oil to correlate with the U.S., you know, company. But, God, I can't help but believe. It's like it's something I told my Telegram earlier. I can't help but believe, I kind of am starting to believe this, that, what time is this? 3:53. There's a lot of talk going on. Where's this at? I took a couple pictures and I said, so I said, be careful with risky assets. Silver is telling us something isn't right in the world. And that was this morning again. And then I said, I don't want to highlight anybody's stuff that they don't. And then I said, remember the CME gap, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, blah, 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 all that stuff. I said, they want you to focus on this, and that's the crypto, so you don't focus on that. Silver, gold, mining stocks, oil miners, or oil companies, that's what they're trying to deviate you from. I can feel it in my bones. Why else would they keep talking about crypto when we know crypto goes into the slums every summer? It's not a joke. It happens every year. And then we're sitting waiting here until the pumpkins come out. And then some. If Bitcoin loses 104K, it's going down. I don't disagree. That's the ultimate. If it starts losing this area, we're coming down to 100K or 99K, 90. I just feel like it's coming down farther than that. We'll see what happens. I just don't think... if it avoids this, it's going to be a nightmare later. I'm thinking we just take one now so we don't have to take it later. John Hall, good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in, brother. Meatball, good evening. Miss Erica, welcome in. YouTube crashed and isn't working for most people, just FYI. I have heard about that. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go live today. I did hear it crash in a lot of areas. It's great that we have 108 people here still. That actually makes me pretty happy. Miss Erica, love, I'm glad you were able to make it, though. It's not the same without you, I must say. James Dula, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Evening, everyone. Buying opportunities on the horizon. Hold on to your money. Indeed. Indeed. CJ2 Pilot and Mosley here. Welcome in, and thank you both for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Poppy Lou 69, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens, as that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge. John Page, good evening. Matthew says if we hit $1.50, I'm buying 2K more. Excellent. Just make sure when we get down there you're watching, because there is a chance it could extend down to that $1.34 area. So we just need to know. XRP1, welcome in from Thailand. Great to see you in here. I'm so glad to be able to reach you guys around the world. Volume, facts, volume, turn up the volume. Yeah, I know. We need to turn up the volume. Where's Nemo? I mean the volume. I know. I'm glad everybody agrees with the volume thing. Caught another live, and thank you so much, Jacoby, for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. I've been busy today. I'm starting to do it different now. The short on the way to the gym in the morning, instead of the update right when I wake up. It's been getting about 2,000 views a day. Within an hour and a half both days that I did this, it got over 1,000 views before the first hour and a half. And then my update I do when I get home from the gym, usually about 10:30 is when it gets released. I did another short today at noon when my son was in therapy, which I'll do another short tomorrow at noon. And on Thursday, because he's got therapy Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we're here for the live.
Wednesday will be between 11 and 11:30.
Yeah, tomorrow will be between 11 and 11:30. So, I mean, this is my 4th time on here today. And, you know, I don't feel like I've done enough still. You know? Today, though, I got to go outside. It was, 90? In Michigan on Saturday or Sunday, it's going to be 98 when we have Michaela's graduation party. And then the next day on Monday, it's going to be 100, it says. So that's going to be interesting. It's always nice when it says 100 right there on the high. Hey, just 100 degrees. So today I was out there sweating my ass off for a few hours, but I did get a lot of work done. I also planted today flaxseed to grow, and I planted some beautiful rolled oats, but it took a while to get in because I had to get it from somewhere in particular. I read something, I wanted it from this particular farm, and it just took a little while to come in. Not crazy. I've seen 160K as mid target for Bitcoin. I mean, if it plays it properly, 160 is definitely in range. I've seen it as high as on my own chart. If it played out in 100% fashion, I could see it all the way to 179. But it has to play out in a fashion, and that means for 179, we're gonna have to go to 63 or 61 first if we want to get that tenacity. Now, if we go up there and then we don't correct some of this stuff, you know as well as I do, Nick, that would just be the end of the run. And then there's no reason to hold for a multi-year. We'd be in if we don't go down and do what I'm saying, we're going to end up in a multi-year bear market like we did in 21 until 24. You know, that's what ends up happening. Now, I've said it and I've said it and I said it until I was blue in the face. Aside from Bitcoin, this whole market's in a bear market. You can't spin it any. We are in a bear market. That's why it looks so trashy. That's why no matter how high it goes, it always comes down lower. That's a bear market. XRP's bear market's a lot higher than the last one, but it's no less a bear market than the last one. We're more than 30% down from the top. Most of them are more than that. That's a bona fide bear market. XDC's down like 60%, 70%. Most of them are. So that's just what that's a fact we have to remember. I see everybody starting to put on YouTube that are we getting ready for a multi-year bear market? We've already been in one for 6 months. I think that's what the trap. Nobody realized we're actually in a bear market outside of Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin dominance is already up to almost 65, while everything else is stuck in a bear market, including Ethereum. Bitcoin just keeps going up, or at least stays stationary. I think once you become honest with yourself and say we are in a bear market outside of Bitcoin, it makes it a lot easier to understand what the hell is really going on. Let's see. Frankie Fresh, welcome in and thanks for reading Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. CJ2 Pilot, I see you in here, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. Syrian, welcome in. And thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor and being a very trusted mod. Thank you so much. Love seeing all you in here. Crypto Cooter says, oh, Syrian's 11 months, she said. 11 months. And we'll read about the Genius Bill before I leave, about what that implication is. Frankie Fresh says, I'm only up in XRP and I'm getting crushed in algo at 30. Oh, I get it. I get it. That's why I'm not in algo right now. Because the technical target said we should back test this. And if not, we're falling right through. I was starting to say, even though these have a lot of inverse head and shoulders, that the volume is calling bullshit on these patterns. Usually when you have an inverse head and shoulders, volume starts coming in on the right shoulder. Not today. Not this time. I mean, if you ask me, this is the ultimate transgression here. It really is. You know why? Because we took the elevator up and we literally took this. I mean, how else would it look if you took the stairs down besides that? It's so crazy. It's actually playing out in the take the stairs down fashion to a T. Eventually, though, I mean, it will end somewhere. It's just a matter of when, and that's what we are trying to decipher. Pedro, welcome in. Pedro is new here. You have a lot to learn, my friend, but I promise you, if you come in day after day after day, I've been doing this since March 21st, or March 24th of 2021, and I have never missed a day on YouTube. Not one single iota. And there's been a lot of stuff going on, as most of you know, especially with my son. But we're still here every single day because you have to be. Are we thinking XRP will drop to $1.50? It's definitely a possibility. There still has to be certain things that has to be broken. But it's definitely starting to lean towards that direction. But we're still above that 205 area, which is the pattern breakout support. So, I mean, you still got to be realistic that until it breaks that, you're not going to make a further push. Also, with what I believe with the Elliott wave, I think we're still only on trying to get into a third wave. I think we're still stuck in the second. I could see it doing something like past cycles and coming all the way out. And then that could bring you as low as $1.36. We could make sure we hold ourselves here at like $1.96 and stay on top of this box. You could create an inverse right shoulder by staying at $1.83. But with no volume, I highly doubt that's going to hold. It's just the volume thing, everybody. The volume is really, really hamstringing us. It's hamstrung us. It has hamstrung us to the highest order, and there's no way around it. I think that's why the XRP Bitcoin pairing, and even though it was back testing and we could have went up there, it's been speaking of a much bigger drop as we've been talking about. We've talked about on XRP Bitcoin pairing, and now it's actually had a big drop from where we were talking about. And if it bounces out, that's what you'd be looking at. But it's more of, what if it doesn't bounce out? What if it comes back to this uptrend? What if it goes worse? What if we back test this actual area? Like, this is to keep the back test. What if we really do want to come back down and back test a breakout at 474 sat level by late September? Like, that's a possibility. That's a real possibility here. Now, another real possibility is we got a little cup and handle forming right now, and as long as it can hold this back test, we could be in business. That's why I'm not willing to say that 100% chance we're going down, because there's still these micro setups that could, in fact, harness enough energy to bring us into a parabolic spike, at least temporarily. It's just Ethereum is looking at us saying, I don't think so. Have you looked at my chart lately? The Ethereum chart is, by God, awful. I don't know what's going on. Now, in the short term, in the micro, it was looking okay. But that weekly, I'm telling you right now, that is so bearish right now, the way that sits. That's what you call a gravestone doji in the weekly, okay? That is a very, very bearish candle, especially in the weekly. So, and yes, this has time to fill out. But the way it is right now, it looks like hell. If it goes down farther and makes low, now you're in a long leg doji reversal to the downside, a bearish doji reversal in the weekly. Either way, this doesn't look good.
This is a wild.
Absolutely, Whale says cross margin only with plenty of capital and it's for fun. Yes, sir. It's the best way to approach it. Let's see. Just making sure I've talked to everybody. Keith Morgan, thanks for being in Tom's Arm for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. So the only reason I need to leave shortly is I have to go bowl. I love the truth, good and bad. I appreciate that, Keith, and you have a good time bowling, my friend. I truly miss bowling, but I can't really do it anymore because I have my injuries and stuff. But I do miss it. I was really good at it. Very, very good at it.
Hey, they can get extra features.
Let's see. Joseph Euler, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Love it. Thank you so much for that. We'll all get to the freedom eventually, I promise. It takes time. Nick, I remember when I was exactly where you were at not too long ago. Identical spot. Identical. It took time, but, you know, eventually now I'm 40, almost 42. You know, maybe in 15 years or so, you know, that's the life experience you have to experience as well. Like, you don't have the life experience, but you do have the charting experience. And I think you've got more experience than I had at your age, so... You know, the sky's the limit for you, my friend, and a lot of you guys. Crawbillies, welcome in, and thank you so much for continuing to tune in and trust me. Abule, welcome in, Abulo Whiskey. Yes, the Genius Act was passed. Genius Act was passed. I've been asking for more time to enter the market. Prayers answered. It's looking that way. Piss missile explosion. Biotech, welcome inside. He's on a short entry, 220. Nice. Gives you a chance to see this play out. But I mean, you know, let's look at the Genius Act real quick, since everybody's talking about it. At least 10 of you have not put in the Genius Act. Yes, it was passed. I'm not a big fan of it at all. So, Senate passes Genius stablecoin bill, giving crypto industry first major legislative win. I don't like any of this. You guys are probably shocked. None of you are shocked if you've been here. I don't like government reaching into any of this. I don't want any of this. This just means regulations are coming to stablecoins. If you actually understand, all the Genius Act did was give government overreach. So, like, I'm not happy about it. You want federal framework for this shit? Come on, the only reason I trade crypto is because it didn't have overreach and there was no regulation. Now I'm trading the stock market here all of a sudden. I'm going to find the next big thing after. I do not like this one bit. This is the beginning of the... I'm telling you guys. Everybody, oh, thank you, government. How's the government done in any other sector? It's dropped it to the fucking floor. And if you like these days when you can trade and MXC was up 1,000%, or when ZBEC was up 700%, or if you like these things that are moving at 5, 10x, you're not going to get that once regulations, and they're going to halt this shit quicker than you could imagine. Once they put the proper fundamental framework in, they're going to have a button where they can halt crypto. I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen, and by 28 and 32, it's not going to be a tradable market for me. Let's see. Did I see your super chat? Who said that? Crypto Cooter. I did not. Oh, yeah, right here. I'm sorry. Crypto Cooter, thank you so much for the $2 donation. And also being in Tom's Army for over 3 months. He said, we hoped, we tried, we failed, we bailed, now we wait. It's a pretty damn good way to sum it up, my friend. And thank you so much for the donation. I greatly appreciate that. I really, really do. Lon M, welcome in. Holy crap. This guy's been in here from a long time ago. Lon M, thank you so much for being in here this evening. What a great time. What a great time, and love seeing you in here. So let's read through this. The Senate on Tuesday passed the Genius Act, a landmark bill that for the first time establishes federal guardrails for U.S. dollar-pegged stablecoins and creates a regulated pathway for private companies to issue digital dollars with the blessing of the federal government. What does that mean, everybody? I'm going to ask you, what does that mean? Doesn't that a further way to devalue the dollar? Isn't this basically the nail in the coffin for the dollar? Now that all these companies can do the digital dollar? They're trying to get rid of your paper dollars. Just read between the lines, man. It's a milestone day for the crypto industry, which put around $250 million into the 2024 cycle to elect what's now considered to be the most pro-crypto, blah, blah, blah. The Genius Act will protect consumers, enable responsible innovation, and safeguard the dominance of the U.S. dollar, said Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat, of course, wouldn't know anything. The bill still faces hurdles in the Republican-held House, but passage in the Senate signals a turning point, not just for technology, but for the political clout behind it. The Genius Act, short for the Gilding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoin Act, sets guardrails for the industry, including full reserve backing, monthly audits, and anti-money laundering compliance. How's that U.S. federal government doing with auditing Fort Knox? Like, come on. Why do they got to reach into this? This pisses me off. They're literally lighting the match right now to the end of crypto, as you know it. Keep backing all this fucking framework, and the casino's going to stop rolling for all of us. The more you back this shit, and I'm being serious, the more you back this pile of horse shit, the quicker this casino stops for all of us. You want this so unregulated that your pants fall off and you didn't even realize it. You don't want no one pulling your fucking pants back up. You pull them up yourself or you get out. I don't need the government to hold my dick for me and point it to the toilet, okay? I don't need them to handle my finances. I don't need them to handle my risk assets, okay? That's the bottom line. If you want them to guide your decision, you're already fucked. You might as well go into another environment because you're losing all your money. If you need the government to guide you, you're not going to make any money in crypto. 100% guarantee it. It also opens the door to a broader range of issues, including banks, fintechs, and major retailers looking to launch their own stablecoins or integrate them into existing payment systems. Let's listen.
So you held a hearing yesterday on the Clarity Act, a bipartisan bill that you helped introduce. Let's start with the core of it, creating a framework for registering digital assets, defining exemptions for DeFi, and clarifying which regulator oversees what. How did you and your colleagues go about crafting the bill, and how involved was the industry in that process?
What we wanted to do is step away from the last 4 years, which provided a lack of clarity for innovation and development in this space. The core goal is to make sure that we're having investment in Web3 technology and blockchain here in the United States. We're outcompeting China. We're providing safeguards for consumers. We talked to a whole host of stakeholders all across the spectrum, as well as members and senators, to make sure that we're getting this right. Again, with the focus of being, let's make sure it's clear where the regulations are so that we're encouraging innovation development here domestically.
And this bill draws a very clear line between the SEC and
Absolutely,
the CFTC when it
crypto.
comes to oversight of the
100%.
crypto industry. Why was it important to divide those responsibilities between existing agencies rather than create an entirely new regulator, as some have proposed?
Well, the regulators currently under the SEC and the CFTC
I've got
are
a
actually
comedic
pretty
side.
good with the Trump appointments that we have. The concern would be what would happen if we ever slip back into an era as we had, particularly with Gary.
Oh, Syrian, no. Don't mistake the last 5 months for clear regulations. This ain't regulations. No. This is where they start the jerk off session with all of their senators and all these people, and they jerk each other off until they get what they want. They bank their monies, they pack their bags, they stuff their pockets, and then they leave it all on our face. You haven't seen nothing yet with regulation. The first time you see crypto halted, give me a talk. The first time you guys see them halt XRP because it's moving too fast, come see me.
Gensler at the Securities and Exchange Commission. And so we have an opportunity to really rein that in, to lay down the rules of the road, make it clear which regulator has authority in which given space.
Right, C-Money, I love it. I love it, C-Money. Oh my God, that's awesome.
To come. Why? Because capital needs
that is so true with
before
Tether.
Investments are going to be made. And so we think this act moves forward, provides that clarity, and investment will follow. Again, all with an eye towards making sure that we're developing blockchain technology and Web3 here in the United States.
What does engagement with your Democratic colleagues look like so far? Some have signed on to the bill, others have raised concerns about stablecoin legislation moving through Congress. So what have those conversations been like?
We've had great conversations with an array of Democratic colleagues who understand the importance of this industry. This shouldn't be partisan in nature. This should be looking at how do we make the United States of America strong. So we have some great supporters that are all across the ideological spectrum, from Angie Craig from Minnesota to Richie Torres of New York, along with strong colleagues, obviously, on the Republican side as well. And so a lot of this is making sure that members, representatives, and senators.
All right, I don't give a rat's ass about this guy's bullshit. Now, if you want to see how much the government really feels about you, $200 tax exempt crypto. That's how much they feel about you guys. You can buy $200. Look at this. No tax for capital gains under $200 whole dollars. Oh, wow. Thanks for giving us a few fucking breadcrumbs. They spent $250 million to figure out that we're going to get $200 that we can have capital gains under. Yeah, I know. I gotta be careful. So, but I'm just saying, this is all the regs in the UK, Syrian. That makes more sense. I give you that. I yield to you on that one. $200. No tax on capital gains under $200. Who's trading under $200? Go ahead, tax me at 35% on $200. Who the hell cares? You're gonna tax me $70? So what happens if it's $300? You get the whole brunt? But that's what the government thinks of you. They think we're so... Going into the liquidity part, because I'm gonna have to end this live. I'm too emotional when it comes to us getting bent over the railings. Plus, I need to help Julie because she's about to do the feeding. So it's actually perfect timing that we're here. What's going on here? Why is this taking so long? Yeah, we know what this means. See if it loads up. No. Well, we'll do this the next time. Whatever. So, I mean, you guys get the picture. I'm XRP future millionaire. Be very, very, very aware of what's happening right now. Have a basic understanding of what kind of setup we have right now. What could happen? That daily time frame is a long leg doji. That is a pure pattern reversal. If it ends where it's at right now, that's about as bad as it could possibly get on the daily. That's as bad of a daily candle as you could possibly have right now. It's below the pattern uptrend. It created a new low. It's closing under the low of the last candle, and it completely invalidated what could have been possibly misconceived as an inverted hammer. Or maybe it had the setup of almost like an inverted hammer. This, however, is a bearish doji. It's a long leg doji. So that's how I got to leave it. If it loses that, you got $2.06. If you lose $2.06, you got $1.98. You lose $1.98. You got $1.83. You lose $1.83. You got $1.50. Well, you got $1.61, but that's not going to hold. So I digress. Thank you all so much. I cut myself off here. I hope what I said sank in. I hope you understand the sincerity in my voice and you understand